Hi everyone, my name is Leanne and today I'm going to be telling you about the books that I have acquired recently. I have some adult literary fiction, I've got some poetry, and I've got some young adult and children's fiction in there as well. Some of these books I acquired as far back as the start of February, and one of them I acquired only a couple of days ago. The first book I'm going to talk about is An Untamed State by Roxane Gay. Now I already have an ebook of this, but I actually managed to get this brand new copy for 8p. I have read some of Roxane Gay's writing before and I think she's a really fantastic person and writer. This book is about a Haitian woman who is the daughter of one of Haiti's richest sons. She seems to have this perfect life with a fantastic husband and a child. But one day she is kidnapped and her father is resisting paying the ransom that the kidnappers are requesting. It's about privilege in the face of crushing poverty, and it is about corrupt governments. Sounds like a really incredible book. Another book which I got for 8p again is The Case of the Imaginary Detective by Karen Joy Fowler. I have read two Karen Joy Fowler books before, Sister Noon, which I wasn't that keen on, and We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves, which is probably one of my favourite books ever. This is about a young woman who loses her father to cancer. She then goes to her godmother's Californian beach house, which provides a sort of refuge for her. But this is a bit of a strange place. It has miniature murder scenes. There's an eerie doll's house, which is modelled after her godmother's really famous mystery novels. And it also seems to be a place for just a lot of misfits. It's about our protagonist coming to terms with her grief, but also unravelling some mysteries along the way. I'm briefly going to talk about The Leavers by Lisa Ko because I realised I hadn't hauled this one despite reading it and reviewing it quite a while ago. I will leave a link to my full review down below, but this is a book about it's about 11-year-old Deming, who is a Chinese American, and he is adopted by a white family after his mother's disappearance. It's told from both Deming's perspective as a young man and also his biological mother Polly. It's a book about the complications in adoption. It's a book about coming to terms with your own identity and dual identity, and it's a book about immigration in America. Next up I have A Purple Hibiscus by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and I love these editions of Chimamanda's work, which are produced by Fourth Estate. I think the covers are just absolutely gorgeous. Now this is the last Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie book I have left to read, or the last novel. I haven't read her short story collection. This is a book about a 15-year-old protagonist whose life is shaken when there is a military coup in Nigeria. She is sent to live with her aunt, and here she discovers life and love, and she discovers a very deep-rooted secret in her family. I have loved everything that I've read from Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie in the past, so I'm really looking forward to reading this book and completing all of her novels. Next up I have a couple of Margaret Atwood books, the first of which is Hag-Seed. This book is part of the Hogarth Shakespeare series, which you may have heard of before. This is a series of books where contemporary authors are retelling Shakespeare stories in novel format. This one is retelling The Tempest, and I believe it is quite a metafictional retelling of this because it follows a production company who are putting on a performance of The Tempest. I really like The Tempest, and I've loved everything that I've read from Margaret Atwood in the past, so I think I'm really going to enjoy this one as well. The next Margaret Atwood book I have is a collection of short stories, and it is Stone Mattress. And this year I have been trying to read at least one short story collection per month, but the last couple months I've kind of fallen out of this habit, so I do want to get back into it. There are a bunch of different stories in here, in fact 9 wicked tales. There is one about a recently widowed fantasy writer who is guided through a stormy winter evening by the voice of her late husband. We also have an elderly lady with Charles Bonnet syndrome who is coming to terms with the little people she keeps seeing, and we also have a character who is born with a genetic abnormality, which means she is mistaken for a vampire. I'm really looking forward to trying out these stories and seeing what I make of them. Next, I'm going to talk about the poetry, and I have 4 poetry collections to talk about. These are all books that I got with credit at a bookstore back in Aberystwyth. The first of those is Sunshine by Melissa Lee Houghton. I believe this collection has a lot to do with mental health. There's themes of abuse and addiction. It has a dark, surreal humour based on observations from someone who has gone through really difficult experiences. I've heard so many good things about this poetry collection, and it's one of those books that whenever I've heard someone talk about, I have a huge sense that this is going to be something that I will love. Next up, I have Serious Concerns by Wendy Cope. I've already read this collection, and it's probably one of my favourite collections of poetry ever. This book is so funny, and it's one that I would really recommend to people who feel a little bit intimidated by poetry, like they don't really know what to do with it or where to start. This book just totally gets my sense of humour. There's a lot in here to do with womanhood and things you might be more likely to relate to if you're a woman, but you know, it's for everyone. Yeah, like I said, this is just one of my favourite poetry collections ever. And next up I have 2 collections that I didn't really know a huge amount about, but when I was using my store credit, I knew I really wanted to get some poetry, so I picked these 2 up. The first of those is Inkstone by Jamie McKendrick. Apparently these poems explore the natural world in a huge amount of detail which is unusual and discomforting. I'm just going to read you something that's on the inside flap because, as I said, I don't know a huge amount about these poems, and it says, "These poems open onto conflicting perspectives of home and abroad, the domestic and the wild, the natural and the uncanny, elegy and celebration." And the final poetry collection I'm going to talk about is David Harson's collection, Legion. This is a collection of war poetry. The collection offers reports from an unnamed war zone. I believe these poems have a huge amount of lyricism and they give witness to war and the consequences of war. And I haven't read a huge amount of war poetry in the past, so I'm really looking forward to diving into this one and see what I make of David Harson's work. And finally, I'm going to talk about the YA and sort of middle grade fiction. At least I think this next one is YA, and that is The Accidental Bad Girl by Maxine Kaplan. Now, this is a proof copy that I was very kindly given by Aoife over at Fred Weasley Died Laughing. Aoife is amazing, and if you're not subscribed to her channel, why not? She'll be linked down below. Now, I don't know a huge amount about this book, but I really trusted Aoife when she said she thought I would enjoy it. This book is set around a private school in Brooklyn, and it follows a high schooler named Kendall, who ends up friendless and alone after she is caught hooking up with her best friend's ex. Kendall is planning to keep her head down until she graduates, but she finds out that her online identity has been hacked and she is being framed for stealing from a drug dealer. It's about her becoming involved in this drug ring and trying to save her reputation and playing this role of the bad girl. Seems like one of those books that I would really fly through, so I'm really looking forward to trying this one out. Next up, I have a set of 5 books that I got in a box set. I'm not going to go through each one of them in detail, but they are all Judy Blume books. Now, I've not read any Judy Blume before, but I know she's kind of like the American equivalent to Jacqueline Wilson. The books that I've got are Iggy's House, Deanie, Blubber, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, and Here's to You, Rachel Robinson. Purely based on what I've heard about Judy Blume's writing from other people and my kind of association with her being like the American Jacqueline Wilson, I believe these books are going to have a lot to do with girlhood, progressing to womanhood, girls going through puberty and all the things that come with that, family relationships, friendships, romantic relationships. Lovely little slim volumes, so I'm really looking forward to trying out some of Judy Blume's writing for the first time. We're almost there, guys. 3 books to go. Next up, I have A Starfish by Akemi Dawn Bowman. This is about a teenage girl named Kiko. I believe this book has a really fantastic depiction of anxiety. Kiko has quite a difficult home life, and her relationship with her mother is quite strained, and her relationship with her half-Japanese heritage is quite strained as well. Kiko is trying to get into this really prestigious art college named Prism, but she finds out that she didn't get in, and at the same time her abusive uncle comes back into the family home. She receives an invitation from a childhood friend to go around the West Coast and try and scout out some different art colleges, and Kiko jumps at the chance to do this. It's about her coming to terms with who she is and becoming her own person, and also dealing with her anxiety. I've heard a lot of good things about this one, so I'm really looking forward to it. The final two books I'm going to talk about were released for World Book Day, so they only cost £2.50 each, which is amazing. And I actually got them with some like love to shop vouchers that I had left that I wanted to spend in Waterstones. The first of those is Gangster Rap by Benjamin Zephaniah. I have read some of Benjamin Zephaniah's poetry before, and I think he's an incredible writer, but I've never read any of his fiction, or particularly his like young adult fiction. This book is about three boys who don't quite fit in, who end up getting into quite a bit of trouble, but it is also about music and how their love of music and their commitment to making music helps them articulate how they feel and gives them an opportunity to make their voices heard. As I said, I love Benjamin Zephaniah's poetry, and I'm sure I will enjoy his fiction as well. And the final book that I'm going to talk to you guys about is Fly By Night by Frances Hardinge. Now, I didn't know anything about this book when I picked it up, but I read the blurb and I fell in love with it. And it feels like a book that I could really do with in my life right now. So I'm just going to read you the blurb because it's what made me fall in love with it. Everybody knew that books were dangerous. Read the wrong book, it was said, and the words crawled around your brain on black legs and drove you mad. In a land where books are considered dangerous, Mosca Mai, an orphan with an all-consuming hunger for words, and her loyal companion, a large and homicidal goose, are about to become the unlikely heroes of a revolution. Doesn't that sound amazing? So yeah, they are all the books that I'm going to talk about today. I do have a classics haul coming up, but then I think after that it's going to be my last haul video for quite a while. Let me know down below if you've read any of these and what you thought of them. All of the books will be linked down below if you want to check them out, learn more about them, or grab a copy for yourself. I hope you guys are having a brilliant day, and I will talk to you in my next video.